Hello, welcome to this podcast from the Buckets of Love. Today we're going to look at the trust bucket. It's a huge bucket and one that, if it doesn't work, you're going to have huge problems throughout the relationship. Trusting someone is very important, and when we love someone, trust and love are intrinsically connected. They're linked together. If we love somebody, we usually trust them, and if we trust them, we can love them too. However, once we stop trusting the person, it affects actually the love bucket as well. It affects all the other buckets too, but I think it affects the love bucket the most because now it gets very shaky. Everyone's different and everyone has a different idea of what trust is and what the truth is. I remember someone saying to me once that there's different versions of the truth. They were speaking to me and I'm like, no, I think there's only one version of the truth. And you can twist it and change it to how you like, but there's only one truth, the real truth, the deep truth. If you're in a relationship where you've got trust issues, it's something you can't fix just on your own. You have to rebuild the trust and you need the other person to change their behaviours and basically stop lying. Because if they don't stop lying or withholding information, you will continue to have trust issues. Some people can live with people who are like this. They accept it, and with the trivial stuff, they don't care if they make little lies about small things. However, people who are lying about small things are more likely to lie about big things, and that's when you get into trouble because there can be betrayal. Look at this bucket and decide how full it is for you. Are you a trustworthy person? Are you honest with your partner to a degree that works in your relationship? Are they honest with you? If you ask them to tell you the truth, will they actually do that? Or will you end up being like the KGB, trying to, elicit information out of them and taking days or sometimes weeks to get to the bottom of things? This is going to erode your relationship. It's important for you to really speak about this, how important it is. Some people are fine not being told the truth. I've talked to people who live in denial and they're fine with that. They know the partner's not like telling the truth or telling them everything, but they don't want to deal with it, and it's okay and it works. So the way they fix their bucket is have a very small amount of truth in the bucket and be okay with that. And they live their whole life in that relationship like that. However, if you're probably listening to this particular podcast on trust, you probably are a person who values it. I think you also need to look at your background. If you've come from a background of lots of betrayal through maybe abuse in your childhood, when your parents promised to do things, promised to treat you well but didn't, and then lied about what was going on to other people and there were secrets in the house. Or if you've also had betrayal in other relationships where people have lied to you and you've got into money troubles because they gambled and did not tell you. Maybe they lied about having an affair. Maybe they lied about what they were doing, where they were. You're going to be very sensitized. And this is why your trust bucket is going to be very important for you. And when that starts to fall apart, the whole relationship will start disintegrating. You need to talk to your partner about this. If you've got issues with trust, and many people do, you need to be honest about it and say, look, I know you don't have these issues, but I do. When I ask you to tell me the truth, you need to tell me and not withhold. Because if you don't tell me, I'll end into a screaming, crazy person with you. It's important for you to be really honest, actually. Now, being told the truth cannot be good too. Some truths are very harsh, and finding out things can be quite devastating. However, then you know, and I think living with lies is actually harder than living with the truth. The truth might make you fall apart. You might be shocked. You might feel numb afterwards, particularly if there's been betrayal. You might be angry and hurt, and it might affect how much you can feel for that person. Maybe you don't love them as much anymore. You can't feel the love because you're just walking around feeling numb. This is particularly true with betrayal. If you find out that your partner has been interested in someone else or maybe haven't had an affair or even several now and you found out, then you've got real problems in your trust bucket because you don't trust them. The only way this can be fixed is for the other person who's lied and been deceitful to stop doing it. And this is where I think you're going to find there are many problems in relationships. Not trusting someone is valid when they lie to you. Don't let them tell you that it isn't. If they have lied to you and betrayed you and you don't trust them, don't let them blame you. You weren't the one who lied. If you were the one who lied and betrayed them, then if they're having problems with you, you better understand it, because you created those problems. You set up dishonesty in the relationship and a betrayal in the relationship, and you lied to them. So don't make any problem with them. Don't blame them in any way if they don't trust you now. Then you've got to build the trust again. I believe that we can, if we love each other, particularly unconditionally. I think we can make a line in the sand and say from now on we will be totally honest with each other and won't withhold, and we can rebuild the trust. Because once the trust is broken, it won't be fixed. There will always be a fracture in that relationship. There will always be a part of one of the people who was betrayed or lied to. They always have that little niggle in them. And the only way that goes away is if the other person, the person who lied and betrayed, or if you both did it, tells the total truth, the honest truth, and doesn't do it again. And if they do it again, that they have to come and fess up really fast. Some people are compulsive liars. They just are. They can't help themselves. And if you're with someone who's a compulsive liar, you have to work out whether you can live with that. If you can live with that and all the lies are small things and they're not huge things like infidelity or losing money and not telling you, things that are really quite impactful on the relationship, you might be able to just live with the fact that they just lie and you just go with it. However, if you can't do that, then you're going to find your trust bucket is very badly affected. It is important to tell the truth to your partner, and it's important because it affects the love, because once people start lying to you, you won't love them as much because you'll have too many other feelings in the way, and those feelings will really affect the long-term relationship. Many relationships end because this bucket gets broken, and that's the truth of it. And some of them keep going and they linger on like a sick relationship, but it's never the same ever again, because once that trust is broken, there's always a divide, always a divide. It's like if you have a vase and you break the vase, you drop it on the ground and then you glue it all back together. It's still the vase again, but it's all got broken bits glued together, and it's not the same and it won't be the same. You can fix it. Both of you can fix this, but you have to change how you do it. Don't also feel bad if you are a person who can only, be in the truth. If you're like that, you're like that. That's your nature, and that's where you're comfortable with. And if you have trust issues, you don't be hard about yourself because someone else broke your trust when you were younger or in another relationship. So you're going to have that, and that's who you are. However, then it is important to be with someone who you trust completely and who doesn't lie to you. You need that. You'll actually need that in your relationship. And if you can't get it in your relationship that you're in now, then you have to get it either by them changing or you have to leave. I don't think the trust one ever gets fixed up without being really tackled. You have to really tackle this one. Now, if you do find out the person has lied to you and betrayed you, and you have made an agreement that it won't happen again, or they will now start telling the truth and not withhold, you can start again. However, it will be rocky for a while till you build up and fill up that bucket, and it will take a while to fill that bucket up. And the person who's been betrayed will be watching like a hawk. They just will be, and that's just how it is. There also comes with this forgiveness that if the person has done wrong to you and lied to you, betrayed you, then they can be forgiven, but they can't keep doing it over and over again. That's the difference. You can forgive and it can start again, but the person cannot think that you have to give them forgiveness every single time. That's not going to work either. It's important you trust your partner. It's that simple. And if you can't trust them and it becomes an issue for you, you really need to work on this bucket and fix it. I'm sorry if you have had a relationship where the person's lied to you and betrayed you, because it's a dreadful feeling. Unless it happens to you, you can't really understand it. You can get over it, I believe. You can forgive them, but they have to change. Or if you've been the person who's lied and betrayed, you can be forgiven, but you can't do it again. You have to have some honour now and have some moral compass. And if you love that person, you won't do it to them again. The fact that they would give you a second chance is pretty miraculous, because often these things will completely shatter a relationship and most people will just walk away. See if you can fix this bucket, if there's a lot of love there and if lots of the other buckets are working, because we all make mistakes. We're all human and we all mess up. But that doesn't give us permission to mess up over and over again and keep hurting the other person and keep damaging the relationship. Because if there are children involved, when you damage your marriage or your relationship, then the children are also damaged. So think about this one. Tell the truth. Don't hide things. Don't deceive your partner. And if they have done this to you and they want to make amends and they want to try and do it again and not lie to you and not deceive you, you can give them a chance. Society's very harsh. Society's wants you never to be with that person if they betrayed you. And that's easy for them because they're not in love with that person and they don't see all the other good things that are in the relationship. But I believe these things can be forgiven and not forgotten, but forgiven, and we can heal from it, and people can heal from betrayal, and it can work out again, but it has to be a change and it has to be new. It's a little bit like forgiveness is given, but you can't keep doing it, and that's what I want you to understand. It's a hard one, the trust bucket, because you need it to be full, and once it starts emptying, unless you refill that, it'll never work again. You will never trust them again. Once it's broken, if they don't change, you either have to live with that and you will actually withdraw your love. You will never love them the same as you did before, because as I said at the beginning, love and trust are linked. Without one, you don't have the other. It doesn't work very well, because there's always a part of you that's holding back now. And when you really love somebody unconditionally, you don't hold back. You give them all of yourself. But when you've been betrayed or they've lied to you, there's always a part of you that you hold back, and it changes it. Work on this bucket. It's a big bucket. If you need help and you need counselling, get counselling, because this isn't a small bucket. This is a very important bucket, and for a lot of people it's very high on the list of their priorities. So I wish you really good luck with this one, because it's a tough one.